Rule 19. Correlations may have alternative explanations. From a workbook for arguments by Morrow and Weston. Arguments from correlation to cause are often compelling. However, there's also a systematic difficulty with claims like this. The problem's simply that any correlation may be explained in multiple ways. It's often not clear from the correlation itself how best to interpret the underlying causes. First, some correlations may simply be coincidental. For example, though the Seattle Seahawks and the Denver Broncos both went to the Super Bowl in the same year that their home states legalized marijuana in 2012, it's not likely that these events were actually connected, as funny as it is to imagine that they were. But the thing that makes it funny is the thing that suggests that they're not, in fact, connected. Second, even when there really is a connection, correlation by itself does not establish the direction of the connection. If E1 is correlated with E2, E1 may cause E2, but E2 may instead cause E1. For example, while it's true on average that people with a can-do attitude tend to be wealthier, it's not at all clear that the attitude leads to the wealth. In fact, it's probably family wealth that leads to the wealth. It may be more plausible the other way around, that wealth causes the attitude. You're more apt to believe in the possibility of success when you've already been successful. Wealth and attitude may correlate then, but if you want to get wealthier, just working on your attitude may not get you very far. Likewise, it's entirely possible that calmer people tend to be drawn to meditation rather than becoming calmer because they meditate. And the very same correlation that suggests that television is ruining our morals could instead suggest that our morals are ruining television. That is, that the rising real-world violence is leading to an increase in portrayal of the violence on television. Third, some other causes may underline and explain both of the correlations. Again, E1 may be correlated with E2, but rather than E1 causing E2, or E2 causing E1, something else, some third event, may cause both E1 and E2. For example, the fact that students who sit in the front of the classroom tend to get better grades may not imply either that sitting in front leads to better grades, or that getting better grades leads to sitting in the front of the class. More likely, some students' special commitment to making the most of their schooling leads both to sitting in the front of the classroom and to getting better grades. Finally, multiple or complex causes may be at work, and they may move in many directions at the same time. Violence on television, for example, surely reflects a more violent state of society, but also to some degree, it surely helps to worsen that violence. Quite likely, there are other underlying causes as well, such as the breakup of traditional value systems and the absence of constructive pastimes. For what it's worth, I think that all of this is complete garbage, and it's frustrating to me that the book is citing these things here, but in any case, this is where we're at. All right. Exercise set 5.1. Brainstorming explanations for correlations. The objective here is to give you practice brainstorming possible explanations for a correlation. Tips for success. In the discussion of rules 18 and 19, we identified 4 possible explanations for a correlation. Event 1 may be correlated with event 2 because event 1 causes event 2. Event 1 may be correlated with event 2 because event 2 causes event 1. Event 1 may be correlated with event 2 because event 1 and event 2 are both caused or correlated with some third thing, event 3. Or finally, the correlation between event 1 and event 2 might just be a coincidence with no causal connection between them. Keep all of these possibilities in mind when doing this exercise. Here's the instructions. For each of the correlations below, list at least 2 possible explanations for the correlation. The explanations do not need to be equally likely, but try to avoid explanations that are clearly outlandish. You do not need to decide which is most likely. The goal is to practice brainstorming alternative explanations for a correlation. So here's a sample. there's a correlation between being bitten by a specific kind of tropical mosquito and developing yellow fever. One of the possible explanations is that this particular type of mosquito carries a virus that causes yellow fever. Another possibility is that that type of mosquito likes to bite people who are carrying the virus for yellow fever, and the mosquito can detect the virus before people show symptoms of the illness. The third possibility is that yellow fever is caused by something else that's in common in the tropics. Being in the tropics makes you more likely both to get yellow fever and independently to get bitten by that particular kind of mosquito. So here we see that they used the three of those options, right? They said that event 1 was caused by event 2. So the yellow fever is caused by being bitten by the mosquito. Then they said, well, it could be possible that it works the other way around, right? The mosquito is biting you because you already have yellow fever. And then they identified that, look, maybe it's some third thing that is related to both. So there's lots of reasons that you could get both yellow fever and be bitten by this mosquito in the tropics, and maybe that's this third thing that leads to these correlations. All right. Question 1, this is another example. The GRE is an exam used for graduate school admissions. Philosophy students tend to do extremely well on all sections of the test, especially the verbal reasoning and analytical writing sections. That is, there's a correlation between studying philosophy and doing well on the GRE. So, a possible answer to this. Maybe studying philosophy trains one to think in ways that are required to do well on the GRE. That is, maybe studying philosophy causes one to be able to do well on the GRE. On the other hand, maybe students who are already likely to do well on the GRE, because they're already good at the kind of tasks that the GRE tests, are more likely to choose to study philosophy because the skills that are useful on the GRE are also useful in philosophy. Of course, it's possible that both of these causes are at work. Maybe people with the skills to excel on the GRE are more likely to study philosophy, and studying philosophy further improves those skills. So again, here we see them developing three possible different kinds of explanations. All right, let's look at one more. Number 3. When the leaves on the trees turn colors, geese always fly south. That is, there's a correlation between the leaves turning colors and geese flying south. Maybe the shorter days of autumn cause the leaves to turn colors and the geese to fly south. Or it could be a coincidence. Maybe the geese head south because of something farther south, like the reappearance of a new food source that just happens to occur when the leaves are changing color in the north. I suppose it's also possible that the geese are responding to the color of the leaves, flying south to escape the colors that they don't like. Right, so notice here again, they develop 3 different possible correlations, including one that's kind of funny and pretty unlikely, that the geese are flying south because they don't like the color of the leaves. All right.